Okay, I'm just muting everyone and I'm just going to start with an introduction. So the fact that more than ever, meaning we've never had such a huge sign up to a Zoom. We had 130 or 140 people register for this Zoom. Just goes to show what a huge interest there is in this topic. So the first question that I get asked a lot is why this topic? So if you've been following any of my other posts, you see that we do have other topics coming up as well. But this specifically is a very hot topic right now, for many reasons, which we'll get into. But people always ask me, like, why am I doing a Zoom on this? Like, I'm a nutritionist, I help people lose weight, I tell them what to eat. Hopefully they listen to me. If they don't, I help them figure out why they're not listening to me, I help them with tools. So I'll tell you how this came about. I'll just give you like a little background. So I personally get asked anywhere between 3 minimum to 10 plus times a day by clients, family, friends, people in shul, people on the street, people who I don't even know, who know me, what I think about Ozempic. So I'm going to keep using specifically the name Ozempic just because I don't want to start listing every single type of weight loss drug. So Ozempic is the most well-known, but when I say Ozempic, I'm talking about everything else as well, Wegovy, Manjaro, all of them. So I get asked anywhere between 3 to 10 times a day. Like there hasn't been a day where I wasn't asked at least 3 times, and there have been days where I've been asked over 10 times what I think about it. So some people are just asking to make conversation. Some people are asking because they really truly want to know. So my knowledge in it is obviously limited to the fact that I am not a doctor, I am not a nurse, and I'm not a PA, and I'm not a pharmacist. So my knowledge in it is limited to my own experience in the sense of how I see what I see how clients do with it. Clients that are on it, what they tell me, their experiences, my own limited research, and just things that clients tell me. So things that clients tell me is actually very telling because I get to know more than what you would search on a Google search. And I get to see a lot of my clients that I have are clients that I have for a long time. So I know how they normally lose weight. I know what happens once they get on Ozempic or the like. I know how they're feeling. I know if they're losing weight faster, slower. Is it affecting their eating habits for better or for worse? So for me, it's almost like a case study. Like for me, it's very interesting to study the effects of it on my clients that I know well. And it's also interesting to see how more and more, as the longer Ozempic is around, Ozempic and the like are around, the more we're getting people who are kind of like past the honeymoon phase. Like, they started it, everything was going great. They were losing weight so quickly and then they stopped, or they just weren't feeling good because they weren't getting enough nutrients. So then they come to us for help. So I'm seeing more and more of that. So, people ask me, like, does it not contradict with what I do? Like, why would I talk about it? Why would I promote that we work with people who are on Ozempic? Why would I have this Zoom? Why would I talk about it? So I'm gonna make a very, very clear analogy, 2 analogies. And one is for those of you who have kids or remember being a kid, there comes that time when your parents have to talk with you about the birds and the bees. Okay. In the olden days, or, if you're past like 45 or 50, maybe your parents did not have that talk with you, but anyone who's over 30, who's under 30 for sure, unless you grew up in a very sheltered environment, your parents have had the talk with you. And why are they having the talk with you? Not because it's comfortable to have the talk. As a parent, I could tell you, and you guys would know this, it is uncomfortable to have the talk with your kids. But you know that if you don't have the talk with your kids, someone else will have the talk with your kids. Maybe a friend in school, maybe Google, maybe their older cousin, right? And you don't want someone else to have the talk with your kids. You want to have the talk with your kids. So as uncomfortable as it is, this is something that you know that as a parent, you better have that talk with your kids. So here I am basically having the talk with my kids, meaning all of you are here because you want to know about it, right? I know you could Google it. I know you could go ask your sister-in-law, your neighbor, your friend, someone at the gym, and you'll get all kinds of information. Some will be true, some will be not true, some will be ridiculous. Like I've heard ridiculous things. So I'm here together with Albert, who is a PA who specializes in this, because we want to give you actual factual information. We want to have the talk, so to speak, so that you have actual facts versus random Google searches. Another, just a quick analogy is that, for a little bit, I was like maybe subconsciously pretending like this doesn't exist, meaning like if people would ask me about it, I would be like, yeah, don't worry about it. Like you could just lose weight regularly, but it's not going away, meaning this is the new reality, at least for a while. And I'm here to hold people's hands through it. So just one more analogy. If you know me, you know I love analogies. So just one more, bear with me. And that is that schools, right? For those of you who have kids in yeshivas, in Beis Yaakov schools, there used to be like a very, very strict, and there still is in some schools, but most schools not, like a very strict, like absolutely no devices, no iPhones, no iPads, no TVs, no screens, no electronics. You will get kicked out. We better not hear about it. We better not see it. And people were kind of doing it secretly anyway. And the smarter schools, the more open to the times, right? Not that they're chill, they're just understanding of the times. Schools said, hey, we're not, they're going to do it anyway. They're going to do it behind our back. Let's teach them how to handle these devices responsibly, right? So we're going to teach them how to handle these devices responsibly. We're going to help them to know how to handle this better. So my point is, where is my analogy going? That I know that many of my current clients, past clients, and future clients will either be on Ozempic or the like, try Ozempic or the like, stay on it either long or short or not at all, whatever it is. But at some point, everyone will try it, right? It's the thing, you can't ignore it. You all know people who did it and are curious about it. So I'm here to educate you about it so that you can make better choices and handle it better. And B, hold your hand through it if you do decide to do it. Okay. So it's funny because like sometimes I have clients that are like embarrassed to tell me. They're like, I have something to tell you, but don't get mad. And I'm like, okay, tell me, like I'm not judgmental. And then they're like, don't hate me, don't think I'm crazy, but I started doing Ozempic. So I'm here for my clients no matter what. Okay. If they decided to eat 10 pies of pizza, I'm still there for them. If they, God forbid, develop an eating disorder or something like that, I'm there for them. If they want to try Ozempic, I'm there for them. So I'm there for them no matter what, because I'm not judging them and I could work with any of this. Okay. So the way we're going to work this workshop is that I will have Albert give an introduction to the medical and physiological part of it. Then I will talk about the nutritional part of it. And then we will answer questions that we got in advance first, because those questions we are already prepared for. And after that, we will open it up to any questions that you have that you want to ask. So Albert, you want to go ahead with your presentation? If you could just, actually, if you could just give us a little bit of an introduction about who you are, what you do.
Of course, very well said, Tanya. Thank you so much for this opportunity tonight, and good evening, everyone. My name is Albert Mavashev. I'm a board-certified PA here in Brooklyn, New York. I graduated at the age of 20, and I'm a co-founder of BMIMD. We're the leading telehealth technology company helping patients getting affordable care in terms of weight loss, and we have over 25 plus doctors in our team and staff members making sure everything is right in terms of nutrition and healthcare in that sense. And I have here, as well as my staff members, I'd like to introduce Yaakov Mavashev, pharmacist in our team.
Hello, everyone. Pleasure. Thank you so much for having me on the call. My name is Yaakov Mavashev. I'm actually a licensed pharmacist in New York and New Jersey. I've been on the BMI team already for about 2.5 years. Looking forward for this talk tonight.
And as well as I have Alicia Rocker, is a current staff member and also user as well. So she'll give a little review later on about her progress. So Alicia Rocker.
Hi, everyone. I'm Alicia. I'm so happy to be here to share with you guys my experience using semaglutide. And, I am also a nurse, been licensed nurse for too long to remember, I feel. So I feel like I can bring a little bit of insight as well. But again, happy to be here and speak with everyone.
Thank you so much, Alicia. And finally, but not least, Christian Stella. He is the CEO of Precision Compounding Pharmacy.
Hey all, it's a pleasure to meet everyone. yeah, so it's great. Can't wait to see what Albert's got to say.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, guys. Tanya, can I please have the ability to share my screen if I could?
Sure. Where do I do that? Share screen?
Give me if you could go over my profile and check maybe to give access if you could to share screen.
I'm gonna try making you host and see, because there's no share screen option. So
Yeah.
I'm making you host.
That should work.
Okay.
Yep. Okay, everyone, let's begin. So much all for joining.
And the mother looks like they're like,
Okay, sorry about that.
If
So
you could just mute everyone, because now that you're the host, I think you need to mute them. Just press mute all. If everyone could just also make sure you're on mute, because it's, I think,
Hey, Tanya, can you double check if you're unmuted? I think we muted you too.
1 second. I think you're still on mute.
Tanya, I think you have to click unmute on your part. That works.
I'm trying, but it's okay. Just leave me mute.
Yeah, awesome. It works. Perfect.
Okay, we got it. Okay, perfect. Up and rolling. Okay, so guys, we're here today to educate you all on the phenomenon and the blockbuster medication, which is Ozempic, Wegovy, Manjaro, and semaglutide. And we're gonna have the talk what Tanya was talking about, and we're gonna get into it. So let's first get into what is Ozempic and Wegovy. So Ozempic was first developed in 2017 to first assist people with type 2 diabetes. So that did very well. And one of the biggest side effects that it had was weight loss. Then Wegovy came in, was then approved by FDA in 2021, specifically for chronic care management. Both these medications had the same active ingredient, which is semaglutide. So now we know that the active ingredient for both these medications are exactly the same. How does semaglutide work? So semaglutide mimics a hormone called glucagon-like peptide 1, GLP-1. So GLP-1 is naturally released in our intestines when we eat. So by increasing the amount of GLP-1 in our body, so what does semaglutide actually work? So how does semaglutide actually work in our body? So the first way how semaglutide works, it works in the pancreas where it increases insulin production in our body, which just suppresses the glucagon production by our pancreas. What does that mean? So let's say, for example, I eat a piece of chocolate and my glucose level spikes. And where semaglutide comes in is that's going to stabilize it and balance it out, making sure you don't have that glucose spike. Next thing in the stomach. So how the stomach works is whenever you eat something, you're going to feel fuller for longer. So let's say you have a nice tuna salad, and that's going to take around 2 to 3 hours until you're hungry again. So being on this medication, you're going to stay fuller for longer, even double the amount. And next thing is it's going to suppress your appetite. And that's where you're going to feel that feeling of fullness, and it's going to curb all your cravings and hunger. So this is based on a recent study, and this is by factual data of real patients and real studies. So this is 83% of adults taking semaglutide or Ozempic and Wegovy lost 5% or more of their weight compared to 31% taking placebo. What I mean by placebo, meaning the medication that they're using for the other patients was a dud. It was regular saline, basically testing it out How does it compare to the actual medication? Then another study they had of 66% of adults taking semaglutide lost more than 10% more of their weight compared to 12% taking placebo. And last study they had was 40% of the adults taking the semaglutide lost 15% or more of their weight compared to 5% taking the placebo. So that really shows you a lot of how this medication actually works and is really affecting everyone's lives in an amazing way. So now we know about semaglutide, and you want to ask me, like, how do I get the medication? How do I get Ozempic? How do I get Wegovy? How do I get semaglutide? Like, why do you need us to help you out to get it? Well, Ozempic and Wegovy and all these other GLP-1 brand medications, they're very expensive, anywhere from hundreds to thousands of dollars per month just for a month's supply. And not a lot of the insurances cover it. Another thing is where we come in is a lot of times where your primary care is not really available to take you in for a regular visit. Usually you get an appointment within a couple of weeks into months to get to visit. And since 2022, where everyone started taking the medication, Ozempic and Wegovy, now there's an FDA national shortage since 2022. And this is where 503A compounding pharmacies are able to actually make the medication in a compounded form. So what do you mean by a compounded medication? What's the difference? So compounding is basically making a custom tailored medication using FDA-approved ingredients. So semaglutide is an FDA-approved ingredient, which is able to be made in a compounding pharmacy. So compounding medications are commonly used, and these are some examples where a compounding pharmacy comes into play. And this is medications where they're used day by day by thousands of people. Let's say, for example, like an over-the-counter cream like lidocaine, which is for pain, where a lot of people over the counter, it won't really work because it's not really so strong. And this is where in the compounding pharmacy, everything is custom tailored. So we can order exactly to specific each patient need. So let's say lidocaine doesn't work, there's something stronger like diclofenac and baclofen. This is even better versions. Another example is oral medications. Let's say, for example, if a patient is diabetic, they can't really have medication that's sugar-free. So where compounding comes in, they provide sugar-free medications, dye-free, lactose-free, specifically to your needs. And same thing goes with injectables as well. So injectables, when they combine different injectables together, it can enhance the delivery of the drug. So you might ask me, Albert, what's the difference between the name brand medications and the compounded semaglutide offered by us? Well, it's the exact same thing, the exact same active ingredient. So in our compound formulation, we have semaglutide, which is the active ingredient found in Ozempic and Wegovy. And we also include methylcobalamin. Methylcobalamin is a pure form of vitamin B12. And again, it's the same concept in terms of how to actually use the medication. It's a once-a-week injection. So I want to give you guys a real-life example and scenario of what's the actual difference between the brand medications versus compounded semaglutide. So let's say, for example, you have a beautiful over here red Chanel bag in the left, beautiful 2Cs, nice icon, amazing, beautiful. On the right, you have the same exact red leather bag, same kind of materials. What's the difference? You're paying for the brand name in the left. As compared to the right, it does the exact same thing. So end of the day, they work the same and nothing's really different. So why do we add methylcobalamin B12 into our compound? Because a lot of times patients are on calorie restricted diets where they have low levels of B12. So adding B12 to the actual compound can actually boost energy levels and lower nausea. And is compounding medication safe? So safety is our number one priority, and our pharmacy partners are held to the highest standards of quality and sterility and safety in our licensed FDA FO3 503 facilities.
So some common side effects of semaglutide are nausea, diarrhea, vomiting. But with the BMIMD team and patients, we have a low and slow protocol. Patients started at the lowest dose. We go to the most optimal dose. We progress slowly so patients can get used to the actual product. And then this is in regards to the headlines. I'm pretty sure many of you have read, news articles, saw posts about, people getting hurt with semaglutide. Many of these myths are coming from, one-off patients that had prior conditions like diabetes. They already had stomach issues in the past, or they had thyroid issues in the past. And that's where these myths are debunked, because many of these patients that experience these serious side effects already had underlying conditions to it.
So let's say, for example, like one of the biggest headlines coming on is gastroparesis. Basically, in regular terms, is stomach paralysis. So stomach paralysis is actually more common for patients. It's the main complication for patients who are diabetics. And in regards for patients who are non-diabetics, gastroparesis is not really involved. Semaglutide only causes a temporary delay. So how we spoke about before of how being on semaglutide it's gonna delay the gastric emptying, meaning breaking down the food slower. You're gonna feel fuller for longer. So that's a normal side effect. Another thing is that we've been seeing in the headlines is kidney failure. So in regards to kidney failure, this is how we're gonna debunk it. So when a person is on semaglutide, they want to eat less, meaning they want to drink less as well. So we always encourage a patient to drink, because if a person doesn't drink, it leads to dehydration, leading to kidney failure. So where we come in is like we have monthly consultations, getting your full history, your blood work, making sure that you're healthy and your full history is looking good before we even get you started on the program. And so we can make sure we reach your weight loss goals. But again, this is not just the medication to do it. It's an end all be all. You need to have a combination with this, with as well as exercise and a nice meal diet plan. So I love right now to introduce Alicia Rocker. She's actually one of our staff members and current patient on the program. So I'd love to introduce her and give a little bit of review of how the program worked and how did it really help her out.
Unmute her.
1 second, unmute her.
Hi, everybody. Like Albert and Jakob said, I am Alicia, and I have been taking the compounded semaglutide. Just a little bit of background. I have been overweight, obese, pretty much my entire life, starting in after I've had my first child. And I'm sure you've all, if you've had children, you know how that can happen. I have 5 beautiful children, and I'm glad I've got to have them and bring them into the world, but it came at a little bit of price. And I'd really like to go back to the analogy that Tanya had said earlier, regarding how this isn't just a be all end all solution, and having the facts and knowing why this medication works in conjunction with a change in diet and a change in lifestyle is really helpful. Because it's great if we all have a great looking body, but honestly, getting my body to a place where I'm healthy is my goal. So being able to have something to help me along is I'm so grateful for. If you are a person who has struggled with their weight, like I have, over the years, you know how it feels when you try and you're eating right and you're exercising and you're doing all those right things that everybody is telling you to do, and nothing's happening. You hit that plateau, and then what happens? You plateau. Then you get frustrated, you spiral, you go find those cinnamon rolls, which is my crutch, and it all starts over again, and you're up and down and up and down. And that's because obesity and being overweight isn't a one. It's not a moral failing. It is a disease. It is a disease that's recognized by the CDC. And there's nothing wrong with using medicine to treat a disease. But again, just like if somebody who's diabetic, just like if somebody has high blood pressure, You can take the medication, but if you're not making those necessary lifestyle changes, it's not going to work to its optimal effect. And that's what I found the best thing about the semaglutide compounded is that it gave me credit for all the work I've been doing. The process of getting it was super easy, very straightforward. They took a really nice history on me. You know, it was a simple form that I had to fill out, where I kind of laid it out all on the line, bared my soul, and you know, they looked at my lab work, they looked at my weight, they looked at my past trials that I've had with other medications, and they got me on that low and slow build up that Albert was talking about. I've tried everything. I've tried, you know, the diet plans online. I've tried I even was on phentermine for a long time. And yes, the phentermine helped me lose weight, but the side effects were jitteriness, agitation. And then once I came off of the phentermine, the weight all came back. It all came back. And that's luckily the stars shone down, and me and Albert were talking, and he introduced me to the program. And I can happily say that at my heaviest, I was 285 pounds. And today I weighed myself right before I got on the Zoom meeting here, and I am now 252. So patting myself on the back. Because again, it's not just the medication. I give credit to the medication helping me stay on track, but it's the work that I'm doing, the nutrition, following, making sure that I'm eating right, that I'm staying hydrated, and getting those monthly check-ins with Albert and his team to really make sure that we're at the right pace and I'm at the right spot. When it comes to side effects that I experienced, you know, there was some nausea at the beginning, but again, because it was that low and slow dosage, it really only happened in my experience. Now, this will be different for everybody, but in my experience, it was only for the first dose that I ever took. And honestly, I noticed that it was because I was making bad food choices. So if I stayed with, you know, my high fiber, fresh fruits and veggies, you know, not, you know, eating cakes and cookies, even I didn't really even think of them, honestly. You know, I noticed that those side effects weren't very severe for me. And it really does. It was like a mindset change. I could, instead of, you know, walking by that delicious piece of cheesecake, I didn't see it as this thing that I just had to have anymore. It was just a piece of cake. And it was mind blowing to me. I was like stunned on how quickly that mindset change happened. Even after I've been trying to do that my entire life. So I really cannot speak any more highly of the program, of what Albert and his team have done and created. And I think, again, it's not a long-term solution. It's not something that I'm going to be on for the rest of my life. But it's going to get me to that point to where I can reach those goals that I've been working so hard for. You know, I have been off of the semaglutide for about a month now, and I have had 2 pounds of weight gain. That's it, 2 pounds. So I really feel like that is amazing, because again, I'm not having that boost back. And honestly, let's take it. Our weight will fluctuate a pound or two here and there any time of the day. So I'm really excited to be here. And I think that's all I need to say. I think I've kind of talked everybody's ear off.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay. So now we're done with the slides, right?
Yes, we're finished.
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay. Okay, so now we're going to get into the questions that I got in advance, and then we'll go into the questions that were addressed more towards Albert. So the main question that I get all the time is, do I recommend it? So the answer is I don't go around recommending it. So the general answer is no, I don't. I truly believe that anyone can lose weight. The good old fashioned, as my kids like to say, the OG way, the original way, right? I believe that anyone can use regular methods to lose weight, such as our plan, especially because we don't just do food, we do tools and support and so many other things, not just food. The problem is that not everyone has the patience to lose weight the good OG old fashioned way. Especially today's generation, more and more people just have a very, very short attention span. And if it's not instant, and if it's not quick, and if it's not magical and amazing, then people don't have much patience. Some people are slow losers for whatever reason. It could be age. As we get older, our metabolism slows down. It could be all the previous dieting that we've done, especially strict diets. It could be that someone has a medical condition, like maybe they have an underactive thyroid, maybe they have PCOS, maybe they're on a medication like anxiety meds, depression meds, even birth control. These are all medications that slow down weight loss. So there are so many factors that could make someone a unfortunate candidate of losing weight slow. So when someone is doing it the traditional way and they're losing weight slowly, they just lose patience. And in the past, when they would lose patience and they would be like, all right, well, it's either this or nothing, then they would push through. But nowadays, they're losing patience, and then their sister-in-law or their brother-in-law calls them and says like, hey, I'm doing Ozempic or the like, and I'm dropping pounds like crazy. I don't know about you. So then they get tempted to do something else. So for these people that, if not for a tool, right? That's what I'll call it, that this is a tool. If not for this tool, they would give up completely, right? They would just, I mean, maybe they would persevere and push through, or they would give up completely. Now there's an in-between. There is something that makes them not give up and helps them to lose weight a little bit faster. So when I'm asked if I recommend it, I explain that it's just a tool, right? So if someone is willing to do the hard work of eating properly, drinking their water, checking in, doing what they need to do, and using this as a tool, it can be helpful. If they're looking for an easy way out, absolutely not. The next question that I got is, what are my issues with it? Like, what have I seen firsthand? Like I told you, my knowledge of it is obviously not medical, but more firsthand, like dealing with clients and what I've seen. So on a safety level, there are really no long-term studies on the effectiveness and the safety of it for people who are not diabetic. I know there are long-term studies for people who are diabetic, but there are no long-term studies for people who are not. So for those of you who remember, it wasn't so long ago, Medifast is and was, well, maybe was a very popular diet. It might have been under, there was another name for it. I forgot. If anyone remembers, tell me. Like there was another, Aptivia / Medifast, right? And people were eating these bars and drinking these shakes and losing weight very, very quickly. Everything is great. Everyone's in weight loss la la land. And years later, they started linking the fact that people who were on Medifast products and Aptivia products were more likely to get breast cancer. So this took years to come out. So I'm always a little nervous. I'm sure Albert would say otherwise, because that's, it's unknown, but I'm always a little nervous of, especially as a woman, and especially if you're a woman of childbearing age, that how do we know what the long-term studies of this will show? So that's one issue on a safety level. On a practical level, I feel like unless you're doing this together with a nutritionist, you're not learning anything, okay? You're just not learning how to eat right. You're not learning what to eat. You're not learning when to eat. So all you're doing is you're eating less, because it's just so easy to eat less when you don't have an appetite. Then you get off it and go right back to eating more. So now what happens? Your metabolism is slower. Why? Because the longer your body goes with little food or little calories or little nutrition, the more your metabolism slows down. So I actually had, I had a client earlier tonight on Zoom, that she did the Bulls diet. The Bulls diet, for those who don't know, is supposedly based on acupuncture, where they place these like acupuncture balls behind your ears and you rub them a few times a day. And then all you're eating is like one day is cabbage, one day is fruits. I don't know exactly, very little food. So she really, like, this was 5 years ago, and she did this for only a month and a half. But ever since then, her metabolism has really, really been compromised, which means that when she goes on a diet that most people would lose 2 pounds a week, she loses maybe an ounce. Or when she goes on a diet that people lose 3 pounds a week, she's going to lose a half a pound. Like, her metabolism is really, really, really compromised. So what I don't like is that when people use this as like, oh, great, I have no appetite, I don't need to eat a lot. And they're just not learning what to eat, how to eat, when to eat, how to combine different foods, how to eat enough. So that's another issue I have with it. It also doesn't teach any tools or skills, meaning, what are you going to do when it's Rosh Hashanah? What are you going to do when it's Shabbos, right? What are you going to do? What about emotional eating? We all know that we don't only eat when we're hungry. What are you going to do when you're stressed if food was your go-to? So it doesn't address any of that. And my main issue with it is that unless you're working with someone who knows how to help you wean off of it or get off of it or what to do, there is no exit plan. I love this expression. My client, who is actually on Ozempic for a year, said this to me on Friday at our weigh-in, and I loved it. I wrote it down right away. I said, thank you. I've been preparing this Zoom workshop for a while, and I was looking for the right words, and she said those words. She said, exit plan. She said to me, what is my exit plan? I've been on it for a year. I've worked with you. You've helped me. The Ozempic helped me. Now, what is my exit plan? I said, that's a perfect way of saying it. When you're just on a medication, right? Even if you're working with a great company like Albert's company, there's no exit plan, as opposed to when you're working side by side with a nutritionist who will help you develop that exit plan. So I know that Albert said you don't have to wean off of it. He was explaining to me you could just get off of it. But if someone suddenly, meaning there's scenarios where we could wean off of it, but there's scenarios where if someone, let's say, finds out tomorrow that she's pregnant, she needs to get off of it ASAP. Officially, you're supposed to be off of it for, I think, a few months before getting pregnant. Let's say she didn't know, she got pregnant, she needs to get off of it. Who's going to help her do that, right? It's a transition. So the next question was, is there anything I do like about it, right? So I just told you like my negatives about it. Is there anything that I do like about it? Yes, there are things I like about it if it's done right. And I'll tell them to you. So number one is it's an effective tool. Again, I don't know if it's a safe one. I'm not commenting on that, but it's effective. It definitely does what it claims to do. Okay. It does the job, so to speak, especially if you do it properly with proper nutrition. And another great word that this same client said on Friday, I really hope she's on this Zoom because she helped me so much with the wording that I was looking for, is that it shuts up the food noise. Okay. What's food noise? You know, when you're like trying to go about your day and you're like at work or with your kids or in school or whatever, and like there's like this noise in your head, like take a Danish, eat a Danish, you didn't eat enough, you want more, what are you having after school, what are you going to get on your way home, which eatery are you ordering from, are you going to get more, what's your coworker eating, is he going to share, what's in the coffee room today, you know, like all that food noise buzzing in your head all day. So it basically either shuts up the food noise or quiets down the food noise. So now you're like, okay, I'm not thinking about food 24/7, right? So that's a good thing, right? It's easier to stay focused on your diet, on your day, on your work. And the third thing I like about it is that obviously we all know being obese is very dangerous, right? More people die of obesity related illnesses than they do of smoking. And so far, no one has died from Ozempic. So if I had to weigh out the pros and the cons, so to speak, right? Like, I'm not talking about someone who has 5 pounds to lose. I'm talking about someone who was or is obese. If they're not going to do this, they're not going to lose weight and they're going to stay obese. That is more dangerous than taking Ozempic. So pros and cons. Okay. And then another question I got is, how do I combat all these issues as a nutritionist, right? All the things that I don't like or that I see go wrong with it. How do I combat that as a nutritionist? How do I help my clients who are either on it or plan to be on it? So number one, and I cannot stress this enough, and any responsible doctor or PA or nurse or pharmacist will tell you this, it is crucial to be on a proper food plan. Without this, you're basically literally asking for it. You will gain your weight back, okay? You're going to rely on these drugs forever, or you will gain your weight back. So it is imperative to be on a proper food plan. I have an analogy. I'm sorry. Again, I know I said that was the last one, but I have an analogy. Look, let's say you want to pass your LSATs, right? You could pay someone to take your LSATs for you if you get away with that, right? And you'll get the grade, right? But then when you're working as a lawyer and they ask you a question, you're a little bit in trouble, right? So basically, this is a tool, okay? If you're going to use it only to just lose weight fast, then you're going to be thrown in the real world, so to speak, and you're not going to know what to do and you won't know what hit you. If you do it properly and study, so to speak, you'll just do so much better. So what I do is I help my clients to gradually ease off of it. When we ease off of it, we start adding more foods. We start adding more food groups. We do it strategically, not randomly. Okay. It is so important that it's done strategically and methodically and not randomly. Okay. Another question which I can answer and then I will and then I'll turn it over to Albert's questions. Actually, no, I have a few more. So can Ozempic be used for a short time to jumpstart weight loss and then followed up by a proper plan? Okay, so the answer to that is, again, you could do it, but you're not doing it the best way possible. Okay, the longer you eat little, the more your metabolism slows down. When your metabolism slows down, it will never go back to what it was. I know that sounds depressing and dark and gray and gloomy, but it's the straight up truth. When you mess with your metabolism, it will never be what it was. So the longer someone is on a restrictive plan with very little calories, the more screwed up their metabolism will be, and it will never go back to what it was. So yeah, you could be on it without a food plan. You could do whatever you want, but you're just, A, you're not maximizing your time on it, and B, you're setting yourself up for a slower metabolism. Someone else asked what side effects I've personally seen on clients, because we all know what Google says, and we all know, again, what our sister-in-law, brother-in-law say, whatever, but what have I seen? Definitely, meaning not just the nausea and whatever. What I've seen, the biggest one I've seen is that people end up not drinking enough water because it's hard to get the water in. And like Albert said, that could potentially be very, very dangerous. That's the biggest one. And then another one I've seen is that when they feel like, oh, I have an appetite for a few minutes, or like, oh, wow, today I'm fine. It's similar to like, if you know anyone that has had the band or the sleeve, sometimes it's looser and they feel like, let me just get it all in, let me stuff it in. So I've seen that as well. And also like an aversion to healthy foods. I've seen that. Some people they actually crave healthy foods, and some people have an aversion to healthy foods because they're like, why would I want a salad when I could just eat like 2 mozzarella sticks, be stuffed, and I like mozzarella sticks so much more than salad. Another question I got was, will I gain everything back once I stop? I think that's the main question. So I did Google and research, and I found studies that say that 90% of people gain their weight back, but I think they're not taking into consideration the people that have a nutrition plan or are working with a nutritionist, because the clients I've worked with, if they're on my plan and if they're coming in and being monitored, they actually so far have not gained it back. Will I have loose or saggy skin? Yes, but not just because of Ozempic, because anytime someone loses a lot of weight in a short time, they have loose or saggy skin. Will I lose muscle? Same answer. Also, especially if you don't exercise, which is why when I work with people who are losing weight fast for whatever reason, whether it's for a simcha, whether it's because they're on a medication, or maybe they had the sleeve or the band, I always encourage them to do weight-bearing exercises, resistance exercises, just so that they don't lose muscle. This was an interesting question. It's a very honest question. Someone said, why should I care what I eat if I could just eat anything now and still lose weight? Okay, fair question, honest question. So, and the answer to that is that if you think of food only as like weight gain and weight loss, right, then no, why would you care what you eat? But I hope you realize, or maybe you realize and don't want to hear it, but food is so much more than weight, right? As mentioned earlier, I'm sorry, I forgot your name, but the person that gave us her experience on Ozempic, she said what she wants more than a skinny body is a healthy body. And food affects so much. It affects our bones, it affects our brain, it affects our energy level, it affects our focus. Like, even think of like an expression that we all use, hangry, when you're just hungry and angry, like you're just in a bad mood from it, right? We all know what it feels like to eat too much and feel stuffed and feel sluggish and need to take a nap Shabbos afternoon, right? Like, there's so much more to food than just weight. So if you only care about weight, the answer is eat whatever the heck you want, right? Because you will lose weight as long as it's not a lot. But if you care about your brain, your bones, your muscles, your brain, your focus, your energy levels, and all that, your teeth, right? Your skin, then it does matter what you eat. Okay, someone asked, my sister is on Ozempic and she goes to you, and I'm on Ozempic and I don't go to you, and she's doing better than me. She keeps telling me that the main thing you changed for her is water drinking. Why is that? So water drinking, whether you're on Ozempic or not, is one of the most, not one of the most, it's the most underestimated diet tools in the entire world. I probably spend 90% of my day convincing people to drink more water, simply because it makes a huge difference. So if you get one thing out of the Zoom, right, drink a lot of water. Okay, so now I will address the questions that are for Albert to answer. I know some people typed questions, but I just want to give first priority to the questions we got in advance, and then we'll open it up to that. So the first question is, can a 17-year-old girl be on Ozempic?
So yes, a 17-year-old girl could take Ozempic. It was FDA approved for ages 12 and up. But again, every patient is assessed and it's very different from case by case. So it depends on the person.
Okay. The next question was, how do I know which type to choose? There are so many, like you were explaining it earlier, like Ozempic and Manjaro and Wegovy. How do people know which one to choose?
So these are all very similar peptides in terms of what really works best for you. I would say it depends. It depends, like if you're able to afford it or whatever's accessible. Let's say, for example, like I don't like putting my patients on tirzepatide, which is Manjaro, because it's not really so stocked and it's hard to get. So I have patients where they're 1 month into it and they don't have it in stock, and where now they're stuck and you can't really supply for the next month's supply. And this is where semaglutide or Ozempic and Wegovy come in, where it's more readily available and we have stock.
Are they all as effective?
So in terms of effectiveness, they're very similar in terms of effectiveness. I have patients where they tried semaglutide and it worked amazing for them. They tried, so for example, they tried Ozempic, it worked amazing. They tried Manjaro, not so amazing. I have patients where they took Manjaro, the opposite happened. So it depends on the person.
So it's kind of like any medication. Like when I have a headache, I take Tylenol, and everyone always thinks I'm crazy because like Excedrin is the headache medicine, right? But for me, Tylenol works best.
Exactly. And for me, Motrin works better than Tylenol.
Okay, so I guess it's like that. Okay. Someone asked, what if she has thyroid issues in her family? Can she take Ozempic?
So it depends. So there are certain types of thyroid issues where it's contraindicated and not allowed. It's a type of medullary thyroid carcinoma. So again, we assess you and making sure, but in regards to if a person has hypothyroidism or hyperthyroidism, which is the most common things for thyroid problems, then that's fine. So as long as there's no active cancers, Has v'shalom, God forbid, then I wouldn't start them on if they have active cancers. But regular hypothyroidism, hyperthyroidism, it's fine.
Okay, and what about PCOS? If someone has PCOS, that's even, they're more likely to even get approved, right? Am I correct?
Exactly. So what's the best thing for patients with PCOS? Weight loss. So usually for PCOS, metformin works pretty well, but what works even better is Ozempic and Wegovy, semaglutide. These GLP-1 medications works better than metformin taken orally.
What about pregnancy? Could someone take Ozempic in pregnancy?
For pregnancy. So pregnancy, I would not recommend for pregnancy. They state that you, like you said before, that you need a certain amount of time So we always ask patients, if you're expecting anytime soon, we do not recommend. So if a patient is trying to, I guess, trying to conceive, I would at least 2 months stop the medication.
They should be off the medication for 2 months.
Correct, at least.
Okay, and what about nursing?
Nursing, so nursing is not currently known if it's actually, if you're able to use it for patients that are not nursing, I would not recommend it.
Okay. Okay, and then someone asked, because I guess they wanted you to answer this, not me, because obviously I'm not objective, but do I really need to be on a nutrition plan, or can I just do the injections?
Yes, must. We advise every single patient that we have in our platform to making sure that they're on a nutrition plan. If they're not on a nutrition plan, then it's a waste. You have to be on a nutrition plan. They have to have proper exercise. This medication is here for a boost. And like you said before, for patients who have histories, comorbidities, you have to weigh the pros and cons. So if you're overweight and you have history of hypertension and diabetes or high cholesterol, this medication is a pro for you. And again, you have to do it in combination. Combination works wonders.
Okay. And then over here, I see a question that's for you. If I had pancreatitis caused by an endoscopy, am I still a candidate for Ozempic?
Saw that question out. So pancreatitis. So it depends case by case. We have to review your blood work. It depends on the person. If it's active, we can assess that.
Okay. And then someone asked what age is it okay to take, but that we addressed. Okay. Before I open it up to questions, I just want to mention that because of all this interest that there is in doing, both Ozempic and nutrition, I'm actually starting a group Zoom where every person will get a customized plan, meaning it's a group Zoom specifically for people who are on Ozempic or planning to be or trying to get off, meaning that's who it's for. Every person will get a customized plan, and we're going to have weekly Zoom meetings and accountability for each person. So I'm going to be sending out the information. And then I asked Albert if we could offer a discount to anyone who signs up and mentions this workshop. So we have a code for that, and that is OW10. So you could just use code OW10 for Ozempic workshop and you get 10% off. So both for the Zoom workshop that I'm going to be running and for the medication. And for the Zoom workshop that I'm running, I'm keeping it small. So it's really open to a limited amount of participants. So if you were on this workshop, you do get first priority. So just mention that you were on this workshop. It's going to probably get filled by the next couple of days. So now I am going to open it up to if anyone wants to ask any questions, please unmute yourself and go ahead. This is your chance. Anything you want to know, you could ask me, you could ask Albert, you could ask both of us. Someone just typed something. Hold on. Would you recommend for someone who is 20 to 30 pounds overweight, or rather for someone who is extremely obese? So, oh, can't unmute. Okay. So the answer to that is, look, in a way, it's easier when someone has 100 pounds to lose. In a way, it's easier to lose 50 of those 100 than it is to lose 10 pounds for someone who has 30, right? So if we're talking about difficulty in losing weight, usually the more weight there is to lose, the easier it is in the beginning. So I don't think it has to do with that. Again, it's a tool. So if you're going to use this tool properly, whether you have 100 pounds to lose or 30 pounds to lose, it will work. The contact info to make an appointment. So for me, it's 844 Tanya Diet, which is 844-826-9234, 844 Tanya Diet, 844-826-9234. And you could also go to nutritionbytanya.com. And for Albert, what's the website?
BMIMD.com.
BMIMD.com. Okay. So someone is trying to get unmuted. Let me just reclaim myself as host, and I don't see that people are muted. I think you could unmute yourself, I believe, because I didn't press mute all. So here, ask all to unmute. Okay. So whoever is writing that, you could definitely try to unmute yourself. I'm pretty sure. Or you could type your message if you prefer. Okay. Is this covered by insurance? Is this covered by insurance? So, my nutrition counseling is not, although I could give you an official receipt and you could submit it to your insurance and try. And Albert, what about for you? Oh, I muted Albert, I think. Okay, I'm pretty sure that not, but if, I'll have Albert answer that. I think that in order to get Ozempic covered by insurance, you have to actually have a medical diagnosis as well. The question Miriam is asking is, can diabetics be on Ozempic for life? I need Albert to answer that one. I don't know. Albert, are you here? Oh, let me unmute.
Sorry, I was unmuted.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so regarding for insurance, again, it depends on your insurance. Most likely the brand medications, Ozempic, Wegovy, Manjaro aren't covered through insurances. We make it most affordable. And again, we work with you. So if you can't afford it, we're here to help you and as best we can. And yeah.
Okay. Okay, and then what about, can diabetics be on Ozempic for life?
In terms of for life, so again, it depends on what's your current A1C level, which is, so A1C level is your hemoglobin levels for the 3 months period to see how your sugar levels are. Depending what stage you are, you don't have to be on it for life. I have patients where they're on it from anywhere from 1 month to 6 months. And regarding for like Tanya said, like an exit plan, there's no need to taper off the medication. The whole point for this is to give you that boost. And with the combination nutrition and exercise plan, we don't want you to keep you for life. The whole point is to get your lifestyle going and get it set up to, this is a lifestyle and not to be a medication long term. That's the whole plan here.
Someone asked, how does Ozempic, hold on, how does Ozempic affect a person's A1C levels? And if a person goes off, will the numbers go back up?
So again, it all depends on how are you eating every single day, what's your diet plan, are you exercising or taking any current medications? Every single person is different. Regarding for A1C levels, I see significant changes and it works wonders.
Does it lose its potency? That's a great question. Like, meaning, do you get desensitized to it? Do you need higher dosages constantly?
Yeah, so how the program works for including the brand medications as well, and we do it too as well. We start you off low and slow, making sure you're able to tolerate the medication. So lowest dose and slowly, gradually increasing you with every single follow-up every single month. So every month you're gonna have a follow-up with one of our doctors, including myself, if you are assigned to me. And we're gonna go low and slow. And as you're able to tolerate it, we increase your dose. And as we increase your dose, it's even more effect.
Okay. I just typed in Albert's website for anyone who wants to take that, and I'm putting mine as well. Someone said that anyone who's on a diet probably is pre-diabetic. No, that is not true. Not everyone who is on a diet is pre-diabetic. And there are people who, no, totally not related. You could be, by the way, you could be thin and be pre-diabetic, and you could be overweight and not be pre-diabetic.
Right.
Okay, and then someone asked, how does water affect, wait, I just lost it. I forgot the exact question. Why is water so important for a diet? So officially, like textbook wise, you'll never read it anywhere because it's more like what you learn in like practical life, working with thousands of people. I could tell you like textbook wise, but what I've seen is real life wise. So textbook wise, like it flushes out toxins, it speeds up your metabolism, it prevents hunger. But real life wise, it's just literally like it makes or breaks whether someone will lose a pound that week or 2 or 3, or stay the same or lose that pound. It really, really works wonders. Most people, okay, that we said, if I don't have medical history, can a doctor prescribe? Okay, so Albert, that's for you. Albert. Albert, you there?
I was muted again, but no problem.
Okay, sorry. Okay. If you don't have medical history, would a doctor prescribe it?
So if you have a BMI greater than 27 with the comorbidity, meaning a past medical history, weight related, like high cholesterol, hypertension, you're approved. And if you have a BMI greater than 30 and no past medical history, you're approved as well.
Okay, this is a great question, and I could answer it again, not medically, but just from experience with my clients. And the question is after being being on it for a while, does your body get used to eating less so that when you get off, you'll be used to eating the same way? Absolutely not. Totally not. Most people report that their appetite is really, really crazy when they get off of it. And unless they're on a good, solid nutrition plan where I teach them how to portion their meals, eat every few hours, drink their water, come in, have accountability, absolutely not. It definitely, you feel it when you're off of it. And then someone said, how would you work with a client who has bad eating habits? It's most of my clients, that's why they come to me. So I'm not just about, here's what you should eat. I really help people with their habits, with their skills, with handling life situations. So if someone didn't have any bad eating habits, I'd be surprised. It would be very unusual. Most people have at least some. What's the key thing to keep in mind when weaning off of it? I don't know if I could choose one thing, but maybe that then it's really important to just stay super focused. Like I would say someone should get a lot of sleep, really have their weigh-in appointments, really they need to stay super focused because that's the time when it's very shaky. Like it could go either way. What's your experience, Emsculpt or Ozempic or both? I don't know if this is a joke question or not, but Emsculpt is totally different. Emsculpt is a body contouring device that we have at our locations. So sure, I'll mention it because why not? There's a lot of people on here, but it has nothing to do with Ozempic. So, but actually maybe it's a little connected because when you lose a lot of weight and have a lot of saggy skin and flab, Ozempic will tone you up. But I can't choose one or the other. It's two totally different things. Can Ozempic make mood changes in men? Does it have hormones? Interesting question. Albert, can you answer that?
So in terms of mood changes, I mean, yeah, you're losing weight, your body is changing. So it's gonna affect how you're gonna feel. But again, it depends on your nutrition, depends on your water intake, depends on your exercise. If you're just to take the medication and not do anything about that in terms of your lifestyle changes, you're gonna have a feeling.
Okay. I found something very interesting. Again, all my stuff and my observations is totally different than what Albert's are because this is just from my studies are people, meaning my people that I know. And I find that people who used to rely on food makes the mood, as they say, right? Like that's what they look forward to, right? Like when is Uber Eats coming, right? What am I getting from the bakery on my way home? Like, what's going to be my, what nash am I sneaking into my bed at night when no one's looking, whatever they associate with food, right? Where am I going out to today? And then you take away their drug / whatever. And then they're like, oh, now I have to deal with my life because, it's interesting because whatever, it's like a whole separate discussion, but definitely when you take away people's drug, AKA food, it definitely brings up some, sometimes unpleasant emotions and you have to kind of learn to deal with life. If someone is on Ozempic for diabetes and overweight, do they feel the same suppression of hunger as someone who is on it only for weight loss? Okay, that's for Albert.
Wait, I don't see the question. 1 second.
I think because it's a direct message to me. If someone is on Ozempic for diabetes and overweight, do they feel the same suppression of hunger as someone who is on it only for weight loss?
Correct.
Good questions. Wow. Really good questions. Albert, you there?
I'm here. You hear me?
Yeah.
So in terms of your suppression, so again, everyone is different. Let's say, for example, we start you in a low dose and a person is 250 pounds. They're not really going to feel the effect in the first beginning dose. Not really in terms of your past medical history of having diabetes. but in terms of your weight and starting the medication low in the beginning. So once you increase the dose, and I saw a question over there regarding about is your dosing going to be increased indefinitely every single month? No, the dosing works from 0.25 milligrams into 2.4 milligrams. 2.4 milligrams is the highest dose. But again, starting off low in the beginning and working your way up until that point, until you're ready to come off. But again, everyone is different. Some people, low dose works wonders, higher dose, it works even better.
So I've actually had clients who were told by their whoever, doctor, PA, whatever, okay, time to increase the dose, just because like it was time, like meaning they weren't monitoring them. They weren't like, how do you feel or how are you doing? They were just like, okay, it's been 2 weeks, we're increasing the dose, or it's been a month and we're increasing the dose. So I've actually encouraged a lot of my clients not to increase the dose until they absolutely had to. And some of them never did increase and are doing just fine, because I find that, you know, the practitioners that are prescribing, there's only so much they could do. I have to say that Albert's company, out of all the companies, really does ask a lot of questions in the beginning, preliminary, but there's only so much they could do going forward. They can't monitor you the way a nutritionist can. And I've usually encouraged people not to increase unless they really, really had to. Okay, and then there was another good question about how many times a week would you tell your clients to do muscle workouts? 3 times a week is good, spread out, like not every single day. You're not supposed to work the same muscle twice in a row. So spread out. And what is the benefit of doing muscle workouts? Not to lose muscle and to speed up your metabolism. Okay, and then there was a question about constipation. So how would you target this? You would target this with adding healthy fats, such as avocado and olive oil and nuts, and also drinking plenty of water. And that answers the other question of, do I have to drink a lot of water when I take it? Absolutely, you do. And it's hard to, because you can't fit as much as you're used to. So that's one of the things I do with people who are on it, teach them how to get the water in. Wow, really good questions. Is the pill the same as the needle? The new pill that's out or coming out, is that the same as the needle, Albert?
So semaglutide orally is not so absorbent or more effective as the injection. So injection is more effective.
Okay. Okay. Anybody else? Last chance, going once, going, oh, okay, here we go. Whoa, okay, 1 second. Will someone on Ozempic for diabetes reason lose weight as well as someone who is not? Albert.
Well, I'm sorry, say again?
Will someone on Ozempic for diabetes, right? Like they're on Ozempic for diabetes, will they lose weight? Just meaning, will they lose weight? I think he or she is trying to say, like, if they're not trying to, but they're on Ozempic because of their diabetes, will they lose weight?
I mean, yes. I mean, we have some patients who don't really follow a plan. I mean, not the right way to do it, but they do lose the weight. Not as much as they're expecting to, but they do lose the weight. It could be a couple of pounds to 10, 15 pounds.
Okay. How many fruits is healthy to eat every day? I heard fruit is fattening. So everything technically could be fattening. I don't like that word because, you know, you could eat a piece of chicken. Not a piece of chicken. You could eat too much chicken and gain weight, and you could eat a little cake and not gain weight. So that's why I customize every single plan for each person. Where can we get information on your course you're doing? I will be sending it out to everyone who was on here tonight. It starts right after Sukkot, and it's a 6-week program. How much weight can I lose with Ozempic? So I know the answer to that. I think everybody loses, right? I think this research that Albert showed was 10% usually.
So depends what kind of dose, depends how long you're on, but you anywhere from 5 to 15% of their body mass.
Okay. And okay. Okay. So I think we're gonna wrap it up. Wow. That flew by. I didn't realize it's already 1 hour and 15 minutes. So I hope that everyone gained information and knowledge from this workshop. And if any further questions, you could reach out to me, 844-TANYA Diet, nutritionbytanya.com, or to albertwebmd.com. And you can mention this workshop for 10% off both my personalized nutrition program and Albert's medication program. And the conclusion of this is that if you're going to do it right. Okay, do it together. okay? If you're gonna do Ozempic, don't do it without nutrition. You can do nutrition without Ozempic. You should not do Ozempic without nutrition. Do it right, do it together, you know, do it the right way, the healthy way and the safe way and the effective way. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining tonight, and we hope you enjoyed it and learned some information from it. Have a good
Thank-
night.
Tanya, for the opportunity. I appreciate it. Thank you guys. Have a good night.
Okay, good night, everyone.